Hey, this is Math 7. This is Unit 5, Lesson 3, Changing Elevation. We're going to solve problems adding signed numbers today. So first of all, I began with one called That's the Opposite. It said to draw arrows on a number line to represent these situations. So the temperature was -5 degrees, and the temperature rose 5 degrees. So if we put a point here and called this 0, and we went down, we'd have -1, 2, 3, 4, -5 degrees here. We could draw an arrow that said temperature was -5, we would start there. And if the temperature rose 5 degrees, we would go up 5 degrees to get to here, which puts us back at 0. Here we have a 0 point there, we can call that 0. And we have 30 feet, so we can count by 5, -5, oh, it's above sea level, so we have 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, and 30. And we says the climber was 30 feet above sea level, so we're going to go up to 30 right there. And then descended, which means we're going down 30 feet, and we end up there, which means the climber is going to be ending up at 0. So what's the opposite? If I'm running 150 feet east, the opposite would be 150 feet to the west, right? Because you have your north and north, east, south, and west. Jumping down 10 steps, the opposite would be jumping up 10 steps, okay? And then pouring 8 gallons into a fish tank, instead of filling it up there, I could say draining 8 gallons from a fish tank would be the opposite there, okay? Just looking at how those things work together, the opposites of something get you back to 0. We move to an activity called cliffs and caves next, and it says a mountaineer is climbing on a cliff. She is 400 feet above the ground. If she climbs up, this will be positive, so up is positive. If she climbs down, it'll be negative. All right, so the starting elevation she began with is 400 feet, and she goes up 300. Now again, if it's going up, we call that a positive change. So a 400 plus a 300 puts the final elevation at 700 feet. That's a positive 700 feet, okay? Because we're just gonna put those things together. For the next one, B, it says 400 and then down 150. So here we're adding to it a -150, okay? Our signs are different, so I'm going to find the difference and keep the bigger sign, or the sign with the greatest absolute value, which in this case would be positive. I know I'll have a positive answer, that's for sure, because 400 is greater than 150 in terms of absolute value, but the difference between 400 and 150 is going to be 250. So my answer here for final elevation will be 250, but it's going to be positive. Here, we're going to go adding 200 down, so it's like adding a negative here, right? So positive 400 plus a negative 400 means we're going to end up at 0 all the way up and all the way back down. And this one, we're going to end up at plus 50. So I have to ask myself, I'm going to be going up or down? Well, to be 400 and end up at 50, I'm definitely going down. And the question is, how much am I going down? In essence, I'm saying 400 plus some number here, right? I shouldn't put a circle there, sorry. It's supposed to be a circle, not a 0. So we'll call that value x is going to equal 50, okay? So I'm going to add here a negative number. I know it's a negative x value. I know that because I'm going down. I just don't know what that's going to be, okay? So to figure out what that's going to be, I could do a couple of things, okay? I could just do some, like, on a number line, think about going down 400, okay? I could have 0 here and count by 50, 100, 150, 200, 250, 300, 350, 400, okay? So here's 400. I know I'm going to get down here to 50. So what's the difference between if I went up 400 and then I went down and I ended up here at 50, how far am I going down? I'm going down 50, 100, 150, 200, 250, 300, 350. So I'm going down 350 using a number line. That could work there. I could also do, which we haven't necessarily got to yet, I could subtract 400 from both sides, and negative 400 plus a 50 gives me a negative 350. Get you the same solution, but we'll get more to that later on. All right, but we know we're going to drop down negative 350 feet down from where we started. It says write an addition equation and draw a number line diagram for B. and B is this one here. Include the starting elevation. Alright, so we're going to start here at 0. 0 is there. And we're going to be going up to 400. So I can do this by 25s perhaps. So here's 25, 50. And here is 100. 25, 150. And here becomes 200. And then 250. And this becomes 300. And 350. And 400 there. So I'm using my little tick marks here to represent 25s. So we know we're going to go start up and go all the way to 400 there. And it says we're going to go 150 down. So that becomes 150. So that's me stop right there at that point. And so the question is, what is that point right there? This is going to be 200, 25, 250 is where I'm at. Now as an equation, what we're saying is that I have 400 plus a negative 150 equals 250. And that becomes my equation for B, and that's the idea. Let's look at number 2. This first one was cliffs and going up a cliff, right? The next one, though, is going into a cave, a spelunker, which means we're going down, okay? We're going to be down inside a cave. So think about like ground levels here. We're going down this way, okay? So this spelunker has a starting elevation of negative 200, like we're down here in the cave down below ground, negative 200 feet below ground. All right, if she climbs up or out, what's going to happen here? So if she climbs up, whether inside or out the cave, it'll be a positive change. So if we go up, it's positive. If we go down, it's negative. So first of all, I could look at this. A down is going to be a negative change, and up is going to be a positive change. So these are all positive changes there going up. Okay, looking for the negative for the final elevation. So we're going to be adding all these together. Okay, so we have negative 200 plus a negative 150. Now our signs are the same, so I'm going to keep the sign the same and find the sum. So 200 plus 150 is 350. Because the signs are the same, I find the sum and keep the sign the same. Here, my signs are different. And when the signs are different, I find the difference. 200 minus 100 is 100. And I keep the sign, the bigger sign. Which one has the greater absolute value? It's the negative one, so we'll keep it at negative 100. Here, I have negative 200 and a positive 200. Those are going to, kind of in a sense, cancel each other out. So I went down 200, and I went back up 200, so we're going to find ourselves at 0. Here, I have two different signs. I have a negative 200 and a positive 250. So when the signs are different, I find the difference. So 250 minus 200 leaves me with 50, and I keep the greater absolute value sign, greater sign, which in this case is positive, so that's my winner. So I have a positive 50. And then finally here, we can see that we're going from negative 200 to negative 500. This is going to be going down further. So how much further am I going? I'm doing negative 200 plus something to get me down to negative 500. Okay, so to solve that here, I could add 200 to both sides. That makes that go away. And so my box value is going to be 500 and a 200, and negative 500 and a positive 200 is going to be equal to negative 300, and that's how much additional descent we're going to have there. Alright, so that's our idea for the table. B, write an addition equation and draw a number line for C and D. Alright, so here's C and here's D. Include the starting elevation, change, and final elevation in your diagram. So for C, we can say that, how you want to do this here, we could say this is 0, okay, and we can say we have 25, 50, 75, negative 100, and 25, 50, 75, negative 200. And so for C, we could say we went down negative 200 to there, and then we're going to go up 100, so we go positive 100 this way, which puts us here at negative 100. As an equation, this is negative 200 plus 100, which equals negative 100. For D, we can do the same thing, right? Here's our 0, okay, and here's our negative 100, here's our negative 200, and so we're going to go down 200 like it said, and then we're going to go up 250. So we're going to go back 200, 225, 250 to here, Okay, and this is positive 50. So we have negative 200 plus 250 equals 50, and that's our positive solution there. What does the value, does the expression negative 75 plus 100 tell us about the spelunker? Well, it tells us that he starts 75 feet below ground. That's his elevation. Okay, and it tells us that then he climbs 100 feet up. Okay, and then he ends up at 75 feet, positive 75 feet above ground. Okay, so it's like here's the elevation. He starts here at 75, goes down negative 75, then he goes back up 100 to end up here at positive 25. And that's what we have going on there. Okay, that's it there. Let's look at the next page. Next page is called Adding Rational Numbers. Let's take a look at what we have. Adding rational numbers says find the sums. So we have, first of all, negative 35 plus 30 plus 5 is 35. So negative 35 plus a positive 35 becomes just simply 0. Here we have a couple things. We have, first of all, a negative and a negative, so I'm going to put those together. A negative 0.15 plus a negative 0.85 becomes a negative 1. And we're going to add that together with the 12.5. Here the signs are different, so it really becomes like thinking about 12.5 minus 1. And 12.5 minus 1 is 11.5. Here we have a half plus a negative 3/4. Okay, let's turn this fraction into the same denominator. So we could write this as 2/4 plus a negative 3/4. Okay, so now when our signs are different, positive, negative, I find the difference. So what is 3 minus 2? 3 minus 2 is 1. I'm going to keep my denominator the same, 4. And which one has the greater absolute value? Well, is 2 or 3, which one's bigger? We'd say 3 is bigger. So we have a negative 1/4 is our solution there. And that's the idea. Okay, let's take a look at your summary for today's lesson real quick before we go to tonight's homework. This is really a summary more about the way the number lines are used in this book here. So a couple things. The opposite of a number is the same distance from 0 but on the other side of 0, right? So here's your 0, and the opposite's in the same distance away, just opposite directions from 0, okay? The opposite of negative 9 and 9, okay, when we add opposites, we always get 0. So negative 9 plus positive 9 is going to be 0. When you add opposites, you always get 0. When you add numbers the same sign, they're going to keep going in the same direction, right? So a positive plus a positive gives you a positive. A negative and a negative gets you a negative. Going to be doing that, or what we called before tips to tail, okay? So the same sign, you find the sum, okay? So find the sum, we add the magnitudes and give it the correct sign. On the other hand, this is the other thing, on the other hand, different signs, we subtract their magnitudes because they point in opposite directions. So I talked about the different signs, we find the difference, okay? And they say give the sign of the number with a larger magnitude. I was saying keep the bigger sign, right? So look for what happens there. So we find the difference. So here a negative 5 and a 12, it's like find the difference. It's 12 minus 5. Which one has the bigger sign? It's the positive 12. We keep it positive there, like so. Okay? And that's the idea with the lesson. So let's look at your homework for tonight. All right, tonight's homework. Decide whether this table could represent a proportional relationship. If it is, find the constant proportionality, the K value. All right, so this first part's review. So let's take a look. Annie's Attic is giving away $5 off coupons. This is our X value and our Y value. Let's see what our K value is going to be. This would be 10 over 15, which reduces down into 2/3. All right, looking at this one, we have 20 over 25, which reduces to 4/5. And here we have 30 over 35, which reduces into 6/7. Do we have a proportional relationship. If we did, these numbers would all be the same, so we're going to have to say for this one, this is not proportional. For the boutique, having a 20% off sale, we can look at this and say, well, 12 over 15 can reduce down into 4/5. 3 goes in there 4 times, 3 goes in there 5 times. 20 over 25, 4 goes in here, 5 goes in here 4 times, and 5 goes in here 5 times. And then 28 over 35, 7 goes in there 4 times, 7 goes in there 5 times. Do we have the same K value? Yes. And so we have the same K value. It's going to be proportional because of that. So your K value is 4/5, or if you were it as a decimal, that would be 0.8. Right? Either one will work there for our constant proportionality from this case there. Okay, the difference here is when I do a $5 off coupon, it's $5 off a random price there. So yeah, the discount's always $5, but you could spend $1 million and you only save $5. I could spend $10 and save half the price. So it's not going to quite work out. Where here, the 20% off is the same amount off of every single price, or the same percentage, so I'm going to have a proportional relationship. Number 2, let's take a look at this, which goes to today's lesson. The bird starts at 20 and changes 16. 20 plus 16 equals 36 meters. A butterfly starts at 20 and changes -16. So 20 plus a -16. The signs are different, so I find the difference. 20 minus 16 is 4, and keep the one with the greater absolute value, which is positive 4. And you don't need to write the positive sign if it's positive. Here, diver starts at 5 meters. Okay, so we're at 5 meters there. And changes -16, so plus a -16. So our signs are different here, so we're going to find the difference. So 16 minus 5, and I'm going to keep the larger sign, which is a -1 here, so I'll put that out in front. So 16 minus 5 is 11, and the bigger sign is a negative sign there. A whale starts at -9 meters and changes 11 meters. So -9 changes 11. So here again we have different signs, okay? So we're going to find the difference, 11 minus 9. We're going to keep the bigger sign, or bigger absolute value, which is the 11. That's the bigger one. So we'll keep it positive. So 11 minus 9 is 2, so we have to put positive 2. And that's what we do for number 2. And there's one more, E. Mine's on the next page. Yours may be a different page. So E, we have a fish starts at -9 meters and changes to a -11 meters. In this case here, our signs are the same. So we're going to keep the sign the same and find the sum. 11 plus 9 is 20, so we get -20. All right, number 3. One of the particles in an atom is called an electron and has a charge of -1. So our electron has a charge of -1. Another particle in an atom is a proton and it has a charge of +1. The charge of an atom is the sum of the charges of electrons or protons. The carbon atom has an overall charge of 0 because it has 6 electrons and 6 protons. -6 plus 6 equals 0. Got it. Find the overall charge for the rest of the elements on the list. Alright, so -10 plus a +10 is going to give us 0. -10 plus an 8. Now our signs are different, so we're going to find the difference, 10 minus 8, and keep the bigger sign, negative there. 10 minus 8 is 2, and the bigger sign was negative. Here, we have difference here. Different signs, we'll find the difference, 29 minus 27, and we'll keep the bigger sign. Well, this is going to be plus is bigger, so we'll keep a plus there. 29 minus 27 is 2, and the bigger sign is positive. And here, -50, +50 becomes just a 0. Moving to number 4. Last week, the price in dollars of gasoline was G. This week, the price of gasoline per gallon increased by 5% increase. Which expression represents this week's gas price in dollars? Okay, so what you have to think about is that you have 100% times the gas value, right? Plus a 5% increase times the gas value. 100% is written as 1. Gas becomes G, so 1 times G. and 5% becomes 0.5 times g, right? And so if I was to add, or sorry, 0.05, sorry about that, 0.05. So if I was to add these things together, 1 and 1.05, I could do 1.05 g would help me find out what a 5% increase would be for gas values. So that's a couple ways of looking at it there, all right? Now I need to look over here and figure out which ones does that match. Here I have gas plus 5%. It's close, but I need to have a g next to that one there, so it's not going to work. Here I have a g plus 5%. And you might think, no, that's not quite the same. It is. I could put a 1 in front, 1g, and 0.05g, and that works just fine. 1.05g matches what I have there, right, when I combine the 1 and the 5. And here, 0.05 is missing the 1g, so that's not going to work. And this one combines the 1 plus 0.05 and just puts it in parentheses before it's added together with the g on the outside. And that would work as well. And finally then, looking at number 5, we just have some addition and subtraction problems here. In this case here, the signs are the same, so you're going to find the sum and keep the sign the same. So we can write 28.9 right there. It's kind of small, I know. And I have 16, carry the 1, decimal point comes down. 8 plus 4 plus 1 is 13, carry the 1, and we have 43.6. Here, I have a negative 9 and a positive 4. I know I'm going to have a negative solution here because that's the bigger sign. So I'm going to find the difference, 9.2 minus 4.4. And we're going to borrow. 12 minus 4 is 8. 8 minus 4 is 4. And I said it was going to be negative already, so we'll make it a negative 4.8. Here, negative 81 and a negative 12. I'm going to have a negative solution here. The signs are the same, so I find the sum and keep the sign the same. So it's 4, 3, 9, and negative stays there. So we have negative 93.4. And finally, our last one, our signs are different. So I find the difference, 51.8 minus 0.8, right? But which one has the bigger signs, the positive values? So I have a positive solution. So 0.8 minus 0.8 is 0.0, and we have 51 there. Keep the sign positive, and we have positive 51. That's it for today. Hope that helps you out a little bit with your homework, and we'll see you next time.